Hey guys, it's Jan, your favorite landscape photographer. And if not yet, just give me a few more minutes. Alright, what do we have here? The brand new Sony A7 V. And let's be honest, this is not just another camera. This is the follow-up to a model that nearly every Sony photographer has touched at some point. So the real question everyone wants answered is simple. Is this camera evolution, revolution, or just a polite little upgrade with a new sticker on the front? And before we dive into the details, a quick note for everyone who follows our expeditions. On every trip, Lofoten, Iceland, Madeira, Alaska, Cyprus, Hebrides, the A7 IV has been one of the most common cameras in the group. So naturally, everyone keeps asking me the same question. Is the A7 V a real step forward, and should I upgrade? That's exactly what this video will answer. Sony packed a lot of changes into this camera. A new control layout, a new screen system, new autofocus behavior, new shutter options, and a few long requested improvements. But here is the real question. Can you actually feel these updates once you are shooting outside? I took the camera out, tried it in real conditions, pushed the controls, checked how it behaves, and even with limited RAW support right now, of course, the results still surprised me. A few words about size and weight. The A7 V stays very close to the A7 IV, practically the same footprint and almost identical weight. So if you are used to carrying the A7 IV on long hikes or full-day landscape sessions, this body will not change your backpack at all. The grip is slightly more comfortable and the controls are a bit better placed, but everything feels natural right away. By the way, do you see this L bracket? This one is specifically for Sony A1, but it fits on A7 V as well. So, as you can see, there's almost, obviously, no difference in size and let's say weight between Sony's cameras through the whole lineup. Let's start with what's new for every photographer, not only landscape shooters. The A7 V brings a new semi-stack sensor, a feature that A7 IV didn't offer, and it clearly changes how the camera behaves. Sony now claims 16 stops of dynamic range, something no previous Sony full-frame camera officially listed, not even the A1 Mark II or the A7R5. Even if you use exposure bracketing most of the time as a landscape shooter, the extra flexibility in post is very useful, especially for handheld work or any situation where bracketing simply is not possible. And one thing I'm really glad Sony didn't touch is the resolution. The A7 V stays at 33 megapixels, the same as the A7 IV. In a world where many brands keep pushing resolution higher and higher, this is actually a smart decision. For real landscape work, 33 megapixels is the perfect balance between detail, dynamic range, noise performance, and file size. You get clean images, fast workflow, and zero downsides in the field. Sony also removed the old micro USB port, which is great. The A7 V now has two USB-C ports. One is fast for data, and the other can be used for charging the camera. And yes, you can connect a power bank in the field when the battery starts dropping. It's very practical during long days outdoors. Battery performance has also improved. You feel it right away in real use. The camera stays active longer on a single charge, so you don't have to think about batteries all the time. And because you can charge the camera from a power bank in the field, the whole setup becomes very practical, especially on long days that start at sunrise and continue into night photography or aurora sessions. Now the screen. The A7 V finally gets the fully articulating tilt flip display The same style you know from the A7R5 and A1 Mark II. It tilts, flips, rotates, works from every angle for low-angle landscapes, vertical shooting, high-angle work, panoramas, vlogs. It's a huge step forward. There is also the mechanical sensor curtain that closes when the camera powers off. It protects the sensor during lens changes, extremely useful in bad weather, wind, snow, dust or water spray. Video shooters get a few upgrades too. Rolling shutter is reduced, a new high-frequency anti-flicker mode helps when shooting under LED lighting, and the camera now handles overheating far more effectively than the A7 IV. On top of that, the A7 V finally brings proper cinematic tools into the standard A7 line. S-Cinetone straight out of the camera for ready-to-use color, auto-framing when you are filming yourself, and LUT import so the preview on the screen actually matches your final look. You also get 4K 60p full-frame oversampled from 7K and 4K 120p with full autofocus, clean, detailed, slow motion without the artifacts we used to see on other bodies. And we'll get into the overheating story in a moment, so stay with us. For stills, we also get pre-capture, the same feature from the A9 III that records a short sequence of frames before you press the shutter. It's not a landscape feature, of course, but for wildlife, street or sport, it's extremely useful. Now the feature that actually surprised me, exposure bracketing. If you have followed this channel, you know I've been complaining about this for years. The A7 IV and every Sony before it had a ridiculous limitation. Single bracketing allowed exposure simulation and zebras, but required pressing the shutter for every single frame. Continuous bracketing allowed a one-press burst, but disabled exposure simulation. So the workflow was always messy. Set exposure using single bracketing with zebras, avoid clipping on the brightest spot, then switch to continuous bracketing, and finally shoot the bracket. It worked, but it was clumsy. We've been pushing Sony headquarters about this for more than a year. And when I say we, I mean the Czech Sony office, because I was constantly bombarding them with feedback about the bracketing problem. They took everything seriously, sent it to Japan again and again, and it actually worked. And honestly, I think the people at Sony Czech Republic are the happiest ones right now because they finally know I will stop chasing them about the bracketing problem. The A7 V now allows exposure simulation and zebras directly in continuous bracketing. What does it mean in real use? You turn on exposure bracketing, turn on zebras, set the exposure for the highlights, and then you press the shutter once with a 2-second delay if you want, and the camera captures all bracketed images in one go. No more tapping the shutter for every shot, no more switching modes, no cable release needed. And here's the real advantage. It makes Sony the fastest and most efficient system for bracketing. Other brands still rely on reference shots or guesswork because you can't fully trust exposure simulation alone. With Sony, the combination of live exposure preview and zebras gives you instant, precise control, and you know immediately if your highlights are safe. No waiting, no testing, no checking, you just shoot. For landscape photographers, this is a long-awaited fix and a huge improvement in daily work. And there is another small but great change. In menu, shooting, drive mode limit, you can now choose which drive modes appear when you press left on the rear wheel. No more scrolling through useless stuff, just clean practical drive options. Speed also changed. The A7 IV had 10 frames per second. The A7 V jumps to 30 frames per second. Combined with the new sensor architecture and the faster buffer, it gives you completely different flexibility for wildlife, action, or even fast changing light. One thing I had to test was the overheating during video recording, because every A7 IV user remembers the problem. With the A7 IV, long video sessions were, let's say, dramatic. After about 20 minutes, the camera got so hot that I literally had to open every door on the camera. The card slot door, the ports door, even the battery door, just to give it a chance to breathe. It looked ridiculous and it didn't help too much. The camera would still overheat and shut down. So I pushed the A7 V under the exact same conditions. Continuous recording, room temperature around 23 degrees of Celsius, it's about 73 degrees of Fahrenheit. And this time the camera just kept going. 45 minutes, still running, no warnings, no overheating icons, nothing. Just stable performance. So yes, Sony solved one of the biggest complaints of the previous generation. Shutter speeds also got a real upgrade. The A7 IV was limited to 1/4000 in electronic shutter. The A7 V goes to 1/16,000 electronically and 1/8000 mechanically. Much more flexibility for bright conditions and fast primes. And now, something I was really happy to see, the new bulb timer. This is the same system we know from the A7R V and the A1 Mark II. You can set anything from 2 seconds to 900 seconds, and the camera shows a live countdown on the screen. For night photography or strong ND filters, this is amazing. It means we finally don't need a cable release at all. I honestly hope Sony brings this feature to more cameras through future updates. Now let's sum up what this camera brings specifically for landscape photographers. More dynamic range, a proper fast clean bracketing workflow with zebras in continuous mode, a fully articulating rear screen that finally works in every shooting position, a dust curtain that keeps the sensor clean when changing lenses outside, stronger battery performance combined with USB-C charging in the field, new shutter options for more flexibility. So almost everything that used to require moving to Sony's higher-end bodies is now built into the basic A7. So the final question, is the Sony A7 V evolution, revolution, or just an upgrade? For me as a landscape photographer, it's evolution with one revolutionary fix, exposure bracketing done right. And from everything I have seen in the field on real expeditions, in real conditions, I don't know another brand that gives you so much in what is essentially their basic camera. For landscape shooters, this is the first A7 body that finally has everything we've been asking for. No compromises, no missing features, no yes but. It actually feels complete. And if you ever want to try a camera like this in real conditions, from Lofoten to Iceland, Madeira, Alaska, or even Namibia, all upcoming expeditions for 2026 and 2027 are linked below. So, thanks for watching, stay inspired and keep chasing the light.
By the way, have you heard that you can join us on our exclusive photography expeditions to Lofoten and Iceland? If you want to know more, check the link below.